So while I was researching this 91-year-old restaurant that's still in operation today, I found something fascinating that hasn't been talked about ever. And I want to share that with you. And more than that, I want to share with you just like the journey that you go on when you are researching old Hawaii and you're finding something. You know, this project took me like half a year, but the reason why is because you find something and then you find another thing and you want to learn about that, and you find another thing and you learn about that. You know, a lot of things that I grew up with as a child, I didn't really process it. And when you read about it again and then you see how everything fit into place at that time, and you learn about, oh, that's how that came about, that's how this came about. So I want to share that with you. I want to go on one of these journeys and one of those tangents that I couldn't fit into the video, but it's so unique and so interesting. I want to share it with you and stick to the end, because even in researching that tangent, there's like so many other things that I wanted to look into, and I'm going to share those things with you as well. So as you know, I've been doing some research on the restaurant, and this restaurant happened to have three locations, and I found the grand opening for two of them, Sekiya's Restaurant Delicatessen and for Kapuhulu Delicatessen Restaurant. But I wanted to find the grand opening for School Delicatessen, which was the first location. And I knew it was going to be a long shot because it's their first location, so it's probably was a small start, probably, I would think. And so I didn't really have a lot of hopes of finding it, but I thought, hey, maybe I could, and at least find something about School Delicatessen. But it was very hard to find any information about that. I tried different things. I tried to look up School Delicatessen, couldn't find anything, or School Street Delicatessen, couldn't find anything. And when I looked up Sekiya, what I found was pretty interesting as far as the name. I couldn't find Delicatessen, but I could find School Okazuya, which made sense because it was, that's what it was. It was a restaurant that served okazu, which was Japanese side dishes. But I also found School Tempura Ya, which means school tempura, which is deep fried vegetables or shrimp. I understood the okazuya, but I didn't understand the tempura. Yeah, I didn't know if they were the same place or if how they were related or anything. And it was getting kind of jumbled in my head. So I got all of these clippings and I wanted to just lay it out in chronological order. These are the different articles, the different advertisements that I found. Now, looking at the advertisements, you can see that from 1935 to 1939, they were all using school tempura. This is how it looks like in Japanese. School tempura. And so they were using it all within a period of time. It's linear, yeah. And when you look at the next group between 1941 and 1947, they had Sekiya Okazuya between 1941 and 1944, and they had School Okazuya from 1946. It looks like 1946 on, but again, this is what it looks like. I don't know for a fact that they changed their names and all that, or what the reason why. And I don't even know if I missed some of the advertisements that maybe have mentioned that, but it just so happened that the ones that I found seem to be linear. Like, it's not like you'd have a School Okazuya somewhere in 1930 something. So that was one thing. Also, too, you can see that they're using, it's on different newspapers, so different publications, using the same name within a period of time. Also, too, if you look at the different menus, so this one is School Okazuya, this one is School, on the left you have School Tempura. And if you look at the menu items, looking at that, you see that they have School Okazuya has tempura, they have sushi, and then on the left side you see obento, which is basically okazuya all in one little package. Over here, on the left, you see okazu, right? So you also have the same thing. So it's similar products that are being sold, And then the next part is the phone numbers. So looking at these two advertisements, one in 1939 and one in 1946, both have the same phone numbers. So 66371, same thing here, 66371. Again, 1939 to 1946, maybe they could have switch owners, but then again, I do see similar kanji in both of them, where you do have Sekiya in there. Now this one we need to talk about because it looks backward. Now this is the kanji for Taisuke Sekiya, or Sekiya Taisuke. And when you further break it down, you can see Seki and Ya, right? So this is Seki, that's Ya. So Sekiya, right, together. What's neat is Sekiya's name. This is Taisuke Sekiya. Taisuke Sekiya. Sekiya. Although this is a little bit of a misprint. But you have Taisuke Sekiya over here again. Taisuke Sekiya. Now what's interesting is that when you look at this kanji, you can see it's reverse. So if you remember before, this is Seki, right? So Sekiya, right? This one. And then you look at the next one. Seki is here. Yeah? It's a second one. And Ya is over here. So that kind of confused me. So it looks like Ya, Seki. Right? So you think, hey, maybe this is a different person. But what I learned was that the way they read Japanese is from top to bottom and from right to left. So when you look at this, how it's written out, you think of it as like two columns. So you're reading it from right to left. So when you read it from right to left, it is Sekiya. So it is actually Sekiya when you look at it. So it was a really educational experience. Now, one more thing about this is the address. And this is another thing that is, see, part of learning about Hawaii history is that you're not just learning about one restaurant. You're kind of learning about Hawaii history along the way. It's like it opens doors to other areas that you didn't realize. Sometimes you would think that, oh, growing up, I learned about it this way. So this is how it was back in the day. But then when you research it, you find out, oh, it's different. It's really different. So looking at this, I found the addresses on a few of these advertisements, and this is showing School Street, 80th, South School Street. And they have either South School Street or School Street and 4th Street. However, if you look later on, where the Okazuya ones, you notice that it goes to 66. However, there is one Sekiya Okazuya that was 80. So you had different addresses being written. Some of them are similar, but some of them are very different. So you're looking at this, you have 80th School Street, but then you have 66 South School Street. So you're seeing 80th School Street and 4th Street, and you're thinking, they don't even intersect with each other. But I'm going to show you how all of these could be the same place. And that's what's interesting. And that's what we're going to look at right now. Let me just tell you what most people understand here in Honolulu about 4th Street. That 4th Street is not, well, it's not really a street. It's more of like a pedestrian walkway. And let me just take you down into it. See, so this is 4th Street right here. So you can see there's tables and chairs and stuff, and that's a good restaurant over there. I missed that place. So that's 4th Street. Now, it used to be an actual street where cars went by, though. And if you look over here, 4th Street ends around here. and that's where the poly comes in. Okay, so right now, Fort Street does not intersect with School Street. School Street is here, right? There's no Fort Street around here. It's Poly Highway. Okay, but if we go back, and I found this from the Library of Congress, it's a Sanborn Fire Insurance Map, Honolulu. It is a 1927 map. We can look at this. And if you look at this, let me bring up this map. Okay, so if you look at this, okay, so you see over here, it says Fort Street right here. So going up, you have Vineyard, and then you have School Street. So Fort Street and School Street. Okay, so they do intersect. And what do you see that's very prominent today that's missing from here? And some of you might know already. So between School Street and Vineyard is the H1 freeway. And the H1 freeway, or the Mauka Makai arterial, it wasn't even developed yet. So, and this is a 1927 map, but even when you look at like the 1945 map, it would be the same. And you can see this highway, everything was not there before. So this would have been School and Fort Street right here. Now let's talk about it was 80 at School Street and 66 School Street, right? So let's look at a cross section. Let's see, let's zoom into 209. So I'll get that one up. So if we're looking at it, this is Fort Street, and then this is School Street. And let's zoom in here. And you see this, 66 and 80. I mean, it seems like it could be the same place. But what do you think about that? 66 and 80. But in either case, this is pretty neat. 66 and 80, that would be like in this area where the highway is now. And all these on-ramps and off-ramps and all of that. But that's how it was back then. But what do you think? Do you think they are the same place? Do you think they're different? There's no way for me to confirm, but this is something very exciting because I've been researching this a lot, and I never heard about this, and this is a neat find to see. What's even more neat is when we look into this. Now, let's take a look at just looking at the articles here. Yeah, so if we look at this, now what do you notice about this advertisement at the top? What do you notice about the date? So this is 1 week before December 7, 1941. And you notice that there's a gap between this advertisement and this one. There's like a couple years. And what I found out, I didn't go into it deeply because otherwise I could never produce this video, but what I heard was that the Japanese newspapers had to be taken down a few days after Pearl Harbor was attacked, because there was a real fear that the country of Japan would be invading Hawaii. And if you looking at the history about around that time, also the Philippines, Wake Island, Guam were attacked and were pretty much taken over until the end of the war. But there was a fear around that time, and so that's something I want to look into some more about that period of time in history, how the newspapers were taken down and changes were made and so forth. But that's an interesting thing that I saw looking at these advertisements. Another thing too, this advertisement, this one is an interesting one where kind of fun when they're approaching New Year's. Well, I don't know fun, but they're saying that they have to open late. So even back in 1946, they stayed up late to prepare meals for the upcoming New Year celebrations, and that was neat. Going back to the previous slide, you can see that there's a couple that I want to look at. These two right here. So let's look at those. Okay, looking at this, so Taisuke Sekiya, here's where you put on an advertisement. And what's interesting is this is 1935 February. And so this is around the time that they opened, but he already is starting to put on an advertisement in here, which says something, because I don't know how much it costs to put an advertisement on the paper, but to have him put it out towards the very beginning for a message that's celebrating this occasion, which was the 50th anniversary. In this case, it was like the 50th anniversary of I believe the Japanese consulate, but also the Kanyaku Imin, the second group of Japanese people that came to Hawaii to work on the plantations. And it connected to another video that I did, which was interesting. So this is 50 years already after they're doing a celebration. I think there was a celebration event. I wanted to go into more, but I just needed to just cut everything for now, come back to it, because it was getting too much, too interesting. And the next one that I wanted to show you is this one, which is, in a way, this was meaningful for me, especially in my childhood, and I know for many other people, because this allowed Japanese schools to exist. And this was 1937. It was decades before I went ahead to go to Japanese school. And so this is another interesting piece of history that I found while looking up something for something else, right? I was looking up a restaurant, but then I find this article, and now I want to learn more about this piece of history. And so, see, looking up local history in Hawaii is such an amazing thing, because you learn about your culture, you learn about Hawaii's culture, you learn about so many things, and many things that I had thought or arranged in my head of how it happened, not really how it happened. And so I want to encourage you to check it out, learn about your local history, learn about the history, because you learn so much more from when you were younger. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you just the process that I go through, and sometimes why it takes a long time to produce a video. I gotta learn to just cut it and then save it for the next video, but why you can just dive in and just get so deep into learning about different things about history. Let me know in the comments below what you want to learn about, or what you thought was interesting about it. Be sure to like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends. Until next time, aloha.